hello, you lovelies, and welcome to Coycast, a podcast where myself, Coy Jandro, as well as the great Jake Lloyd Bacon, discuss comic books, discuss pop culture, discuss our appreciation, our apprehension, and our general avoidance of most people. We are diving in. It is post-New York Comic Con. It is chock full of general news. It is autumn. And it is Coycast. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm doing very, very, very good. I'm very excited to hear all about your New York Comic Con adventures.
We just switched coasts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I might be there for it.
I literally planned to. I was going to go a day early to see you.
Yeah,
and then
didn't have to do that.
Didn't have to. I got to see you first here. Where you belong.
Yeah, no, I had some FOMO, but also I was like, I was just in New York, and I'm glad I'm not there no more. I'm glad that I'm here now, and so it's like, a difficult balance.
A mix of FOMO and what's that like?
FOMO and relief.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What's the thing when you have the opposite of FOMO? The JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Oh,
I've experienced that more and more as I approach 40. JOMO is overtaking FOMO.
JOMO does just sound like a shitty nickname someone gave you once.
Hey, JOMO.
They were like, yo, it's Coy JOMO.
That's true. Actually, it does specifically
sound like
mine.
you. It sounds like
yeah. I usually am like the guy that likes to be at everything, but I just got invited to like a 6th Halloween party, and instead of being in the position of picking one and offending people, I'm like, what if I don't go to any? And that's very new to me.
Fucking JOMO, baby.
JOMO, Coy JOMO, mid-30s. Yeah, it's been an interesting whirlwind of New York Comic Con. I got in at 2 a.m. and I feel like I'm
last night from New York. Gotcha.
Because the Venom premiere was Monday. So I stayed through Tuesday to film all my coverage. So I just got here. Gotcha. But New York Comic Con was interesting because it was a whirlwind getting there because I covered Agatha here, which was Wednesday. So I did a red eye Thursday. I got in at 3 a.m. I was on stage by 10 a.m. So I've slept like
terrible idea.
Oh, dude, I'm dying.
You're not smart.
I feel
like
I
we have the same
I didn't have a choice
over and over again.
The audience can tell. We can clip it out. Clip out every time Coy says, I made this choice, and Jake goes, why?
Yeah, if you want to.
That's a super
If you're not so happy with your life and you want to play the world's most dangerous drinking game,
just attack every time Jake says, what are you doing?
Binge Coycast, and every time Coy complains about doing too much without realizing that it's him doing the thing.
But I need to.
Just drink and then
the internet pays dozens of cents at a time. So I've got to be everywhere in order to pay dozens of dollars for rent.
We should talk about, I know that you probably talk about it ad nauseum with all your other cooler friends, but we should talk about, that's a lot. We should talk about Agatha maybe on the POP.
Like when it finishes or like just this? Because it's only got 3 left.
Yeah, no, but we're not going to record again before Halloween.
Oh,
and it's kind of like a Halloween-y kind of thing.
That's true.
We should just talk about at least what's currently available to you and I at the moment.
Okay,
unless you've seen ahead.
No, I haven't. Yeah. I've been actually watching that which has been nice because I have all of Penguin and I've been pacing myself, whereas Agatha I don't have, so it's been nice to
we weren't. It's not that we weren't interested, but like we weren't rushing to watch Agatha. It's just so much shit going on.
There's so many things.
And there was one day where Alexandra, she wasn't feeling super hot, and so we were going to take her day off to go run errands, and we're still trying to find furniture. We're still doing apartment shit. And she was just like fucking beat, and she didn't want to leave the house. And I was just like, all right, well, what do you want to do? Like, want to watch some spooky movies, whatever. And so we watched a movie, and then she was like, do you want to watch Agatha? I was like, fucking, let's do it. Perfect.
Nice.
So we just binged all the stuff that was currently available. And then we had to wait like a couple days for the
so now you're caught up.
You know what I mean? But yeah, completely caught up. And we'll
nice. We'll dive into the POP. That, by the way, for new listeners or for folks who don't know, is the patron-only pod where we dive into the art we have enjoyed or not enjoyed recently. We review everything, TV, film, sometimes vinyl. But this week on this show, I do want to talk about New York Comic Con's like aggressive DC supremacy. I really enjoyed. I said
because of the upcoming DCU, or do you mean DC Comics in general?
Both.
Nice.
What was interesting was at San Diego Comic Con, Marvel had a presence, but it felt very like, we're trying to get you back. And DC had a very subtle presence. And I made a video that pissed a lot of people off where I was like, I think DC won San Diego with a symbol. Like all DC really put out was a couple like nuggets, and then they relaunched their symbol with the classic 80s, 90s like.
Oh right, yeah, the new logo.
That was that was the only big thing they really did. Like they had small stuff. The bullet, the bullet came
symbol?
back.
Right. Yeah.
But what's funny is like that was their biggest move, and every party I was at with industry professionals, it wasn't everyone I was talking to that was in the influencer creator populist side was talking about the Downey moment. everyone I was talking to that was on the industry side, especially the comic industry, was talking about the Bullet. And it was so funny to be seeing the two different versions of Comic-Con again, like it was the 90s, where it's like pre-Twilight, there were two different pockets. There was people attending, there were people that were in the comic community. Last year, San Diego, or this year, San Diego, everyone that was on the like, oh my God, clicks on TikTok was talking about Downey, but everyone that I was talking to that I really respect in the comic side, we were all really excited for the future of DC. So now 3 months later, this DC experience was kind of the payoff for that Bullet because they announced their new creative teams.
One?
Yeah.
That's the one. All right. Yeah,
it's back. And that's across all platforms. That's their TV logo, their film logo.
I saw they just add studios underneath it. That's nice.
And it shows cohesion. It shows
anything was better than this golf. Garbage.
What was that?
What was that? The one that I'm showing him, the one that has like the oval with the
spinning
star
around the. Bleh.
That was gross.
It looks like a Toonami ass logo. It looks like it has to be for a cheaper animation. Toonami's Cartoon Network's anime segment of programming.
Got it.
But I felt that Marvel's comic announcements, sticking with comics specifically, were very, what are we doing? Make some graphics. And that was really interesting because like Spider-Verse is back and then like the big announcement was Venomverse versus Spider-Verse. So basically a spinoff of a decade old thing that was only luckily good because it was made to sell toys. It turned out to be good, but it only got good when they rebranded it with the movies. Like Spider-Verse wasn't as good as the movies are.
Right. No. Yeah.
And then Spider-Verse came back because the movies are so good. And I was like, I get why and then Venomverse is a really hackneyed copy of that. So now their big event is them fighting. And so DC, on the other hand, is like, we got Absolute Batman selling out. We're on their 5th printing. Check out the Absolute Superman arc. And they were advertising it like a movie. Before all the panels, like I was waiting for Tom Hardy to come out talk Venom, and there were like awesome graphics for the comics.
They were like showing
they were
previews
actually
for
doing,
the comic books,
and it was like with music and like it was like a spectacle. They didn't hide the comics like I feel like Marvel does. Now that's
not entirely fair to say about Marvel.
The first time I saw Marvel do comics in front of their panel was this New York Comic Con with Daredevil. And that was because they came out as a surprise. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio came out as a surprise, but it was a comic book panel, and then they used comic graphics talking to them. But they don't do that normally. So you're right. They don't hide it, but they don't exactly go like... So DC being like, yo, this is what we got. I was like, this is some balls about the comics.
It also feels like Marvel Studios have gotten to the point where like they are so big that they're their own entity.
Yeah.
And like you said, with like the Sony stuff, like affecting the comics. I mean, the MCU also affects what's happening in 100%. The comics 100%.
Kamala Khan's a mutant.
Yeah, totally. But I do feel like it is very much like two different companies.
Yeah.
That both have the same IPs.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like this one's super successful, so this is sort of our
we're gonna focus over here,
or like our masthead. You know what I mean? Like,
and then DC,
whereas
like,
with these, like we're all thing. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that
never felt that.
Yeah, a lot of that does feel like.
And it might seem like I'm trying to pit them against each other, but I've never felt this feeling that I've always wanted to feel.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm not saying like, oh, Marvel's dead. I'm just acknowledging that I've always chased this feeling of like, look at them showing comics with reverence whilst prepping their movies and TV, and I've never gotten that from Marvel. They've had little sprinklings, but James Gunn literally made the slate with graphics of comics as the imagery.
Yeah.
And now that's not over. Like I was really afraid. I had like 3 months of pure giddy, like, oh my God, James Gunn announced the slate and used comics. And then I was like, what if that was the only time because they were using it as a placeholder? And now that it's been a year and the Comic Cons are like bolstering, it was really cool. And they announced my buddy Mitch Gerards, who did Mr. Miracle, the artist of Mr. Miracle. He is illustrating the first DCU canon comic book. So Peacemaker, between seasons 1 and 2, is going to have a comic that's going to tell the story between the two. That's going to be canon to the DCU. So they're finally incorporating comics back into the universe, and they're going to be telling the story of what happens. And that's going to be some of the multiversal stuff, I'm sure. But it's a huge deal to be like, here's a premium comic knighted into the universe.
And it is specifically that
canon.
Story. Yeah. It's like the Buffy comics
exactly.
or stuff like that, where it's like,
So and instead of doing like a season 11 because we're going to money at season 10, it's like intentional.
Right.
Like Smallville kept doing seasons in the comic because they stopped making the show. This feels more like we're not throwing it out. We're going and it's Tim Seeley who did that comic that I was telling you about many times, the Silence of the Lambs Meet Dogs comic, Stray Dogs, where it's
Stray Dog.
Yeah. So that comic is the writer of Stray Dogs and the artist, my buddy Mitch from Mr. Miracle. So a dynamic duo doing the Peacemaker thing. So everything from DC just felt like, we've got a plan, we're structured. And then everything from Marvel's like, people like Spider-Verse, right? Oh, yeah. And then the Daredevil announcement was awesome, but it was a comic book panel that then got pressed because actors showed up. So it literally felt like the inverse where it's like,
right, yeah. It was like, hey, these guys don't have anything to do with this.
Yeah, but look.
But they're more famous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, let us show a spotlight on the shiny objects that is actors.
Funny. That is funny. It's not even like one of them. It's not even like, we drew Charlie Clock's likeness.
Right.
Where it's like, if 15, 20 years ago, Simon Pegg showed up at a boys panel, it would be funny and it would be like, hey, I'm promoting something, even though I'm not really, it's me, kinda, isn't it? Like, there would be a reason to connect it where it's just like, hey, we need a celebrity.
He is Daredevil. We need this big. And it was cool to see. I mean, it was Frank Miller, Char Soule, Steve McNiven, and then those two guys. So that was just for a comic fan, surreal.
Yeah.
But I wish it was like an announcement of a canon. If they were like, this is going to explain the difference between Netflix and the
right,
Disney.
Yeah, it's going to bridge that gap or something. Yeah.
So which is exactly what Peacemaker's doing in the next room.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I just had a really interesting, like, again, I'm excited for both properties. But it was really cool as a fan of comics first and then discovered the movies and TV shows as it became an adult. It was really cool to see how the different companies are handling it differently. And I'm really curious, because of using Daredevil comic art to announce season 4 stuff, if Marvel starts going like, because I've said from the beginning, once DC is a challenge, it'll make both of them better.
Oh, 100%.
The competition's going to elevate.
100%. I do think, though, that like it's very much, Marvel is very much like just an inconsistent kind of delivery of whether or not, they are celebrating the comics that inspired it. And I think a lot of it also really just comes down to like the very specific creators who are working on the I think a director is more likely to be pushing the studio to be like, hey, let's celebrate this thing. Let's talk about this thing. Whereas I think Feige's just like a blanket, like I'm making movies.
And I'm everywhere. Right? I don't have time to spend 2 hours in that meeting.
Look at like, for an example, I mean, I'm now a season behind, not because I don't want to watch it, which because it's too much fucking TV. But Hit Monkey ends with the like, hey, check out the books. If you've enjoyed this cartoon, enjoy this TV show, check out. And it's like, I feel like they have done that in the past where they've discussed like, oh, hey, read this thing if you're excited about this. But it also does feel like it's not something that they do.
They didn't do it. They didn't do Tom King's Vision or the Scarlet Witch books at the end of WandaVision.
No,
they did it only in Hit Monkey.
And DC didn't do it in the Snyder era either.
Right.
So it does.
Batman had it. But that was, I think, when they were transitioning anyway.
Yeah.
And now it's like, become a thing. So I think that's coming.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see it at Comic-Con to scale. That was the first time I've seen it to scale.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So yeah, New York Comic-Con was fun. I'm exhausted. I announced Mondo and Funko Fusion's 2025 slate, which is crazy. Like, it's so 80s, 90s tastic, dude. Mondo stuff you're going to love. Like Turtles.
Mondo's
the action figure. It's like a toy company.
I thought they made posters.
That Mondo's posters started them, and now they do vinyl and action figures as well.
I didn't know that.
They do.
I did know vinyl. I didn't know they did action figures.
Yeah, their action figures are like a big flagship they're like working with McFarlane Toys level.
Gotcha.
So some really cool stuff. They got Turtles. They got the Gargoyles license. They got Yu-Gi-Oh. They got some really cool stuff coming next year. And their Turtles is really cool because they're doing one line that's the animated series. And then they've got a 1/6 scale animated series line that's like Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, all 1/6 scale like when we were growing up. But they just got the license to do their own Turtles. So they're blending the live action and the animated and making their own visual of what the Turtles would look like in 1/6 scale.
Like an original
like an actual
design.
original IP of them.
That's pretty cool.
Which no one's had the rights to do in like 10 years. So it's like a big deal to have that new wave come out.
That's fun.
So that was a great time. And overall, the con, I met like, here and there, hearing KoiCast always reminds me that like there are people on the other ends of these mics. So it was really cool to just like meet fans and hear that in New York. It's so weird because this job is me and you sitting in rooms or Zoom. So it's so cool to go somewhere new and be like, oh my God, it reaches the airwaves here.
Yeah.
So,
well, in fairness, your people just hear your voice.
That's how we became
like even
friends.
not like the neighbors know who you
100%.
are just because they're like, oh, that voice.
This internet
loud.
It's really funny you say that. I was at Not Scary Farm for a press day for.
Did you
Monster
just say
Summer.
Not Scary Farm?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
I know, but it's like I like that you are such a fucking corporate shill.
What do you call
that?
it?
You are Knott's Berry Farm.
Well, but I was there for spooky season.
I know, but it's funny to me that you embraced
100%.
the marketing.
The branding got me. I've never been when it was Knott's Berry. I've only been Not Scary. I've never been when it was just a farm. Not even once.
I haven't seen a single berry the entire time.
I did have boysenberry while I was there, but it was spooky. Knott's Berry Farm. Whilst I was there,
boysenberry.
It was boysen. Oh, that's good. I like that. Not Scary Farm. When I was there, I was staying next door, unbeknownst to me, to my buddy who's a publicist, and I woke up and the trailer for Thunderbolts had dropped. So we'd all been out till like 3 a.m. The trailer dropped at 6 a.m. I got an alert. I got up at 6:30 and I literally started internet, and I didn't want to edit it, so I did one long stream of consciousness review. So my publicist friend literally started filming the wall and hearing me yell, and like it is so obnoxious from my outside.
Hey, if your landlord should be charging you more
Just
rent
extra.
than your neighbors.
100%.
Yeah, just as an
They should get a little
inconvenience.
less, and I should pay a little more.
And that money should come deduction from your neighbors.
100%. I should help them out. I cannot wait to move. This is why I want to buy a house, Jake. No share.
They can't wait for you to move.
That's true. Everyone.
What does it affect you at
My
all?
poor fiance. But yeah, New York Comic Con missed you, but it was a lot of fun.
Did you have any specific like things that you didn't take part in, but that you were just like, oh, I saw this?
I attended the Sony panel, which did 3 things. It was Venom, Kraven. I've seen Venom now since, but Venom, Kraven, and Karate Kid.
They're still doing Kraven, aren't they?
Yep, it's coming out
I really
in December.
thought they would have flushed that shit down the
No,
toilet.
dude, they
at this
reshot it. Like they
boy, that's never a good
I
sign.
like the new stuff because it looks like a weird like Russian Bond film with a guy that's hunting animal hunters.
Okay.
Like he's poaching poachers.
Yeah, sure.
So it's an R-rated, like intense, like the violence looks great. I don't know what the story's gonna be. It was shot well. But they showed we were the first people to see the Karate Kid trailer, which is Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, like combining the universes.
Right, yeah.
And the last moment of the trailer goes, 2 branches, 1 tree. And I was like, oh fuck! And like it got me so excited because it was just so like powerful in a room.
God, I need to watch Cobra Kai.
Dude, it was so oh, you're gonna love it.
No, I still need to watch.
Just another, let's add another show. Let's add another show.
So many shit, dude. It's like it's astounding. That show is at like nearly the top of the list of shows that are proof that there is too much shit because
you don't have time.
My love for Karate Kid, the original movie, like that was my entire fucking childhood. Like, I mean, I was obsessed with that goddamn movie. It was one of the many, but like that was just like up there. And the fact that I still have not watched it, knowing that the original cast members are a part of it. It's one thing if it was like, oh, it's a bunch of young kids and they're doing Karate Kid and it's like modern day Cobra Kai.
Sure.
I could see myself being like, yeah, I'll watch it eventually. But the fact that I know the original characters are in it
and how good it is that it's lasted 7 seasons and they're all loved.
Ridiculous.
And like William Zabka,
it's too much art.
I do, yeah. It's what a weird problem. But I'm one of Zabka's moderators at cons, so like he and I do a lot of like panels and stuff together, and it's so surreal for me to have grown up on those movies, and now Zabka's like a dude I kind of know, and he's the exact opposite of that. So when I see an advertisement for Karate Kid, there's that weird confluence of like, this is a human and this is the character, but as an adult. Like if I was friends with him as a kid when he was young, it wouldn't be a conflict. Sure. But now that he's like the angel sweetest, he'll stay like signing stuff forever. But he's such a dick, Danny LaRusso. Sure, it's so funny to watch that trailer and be like, hee. What was I going to say about Danny LaRusso? Oh, speaking of people being fucking kind, that Venom panel was the last panel of the day. So it opened with Kraven, then Karate Kid, then Venom was the last thing in that room. Tom fucking Hardy stayed. I left after 20 minutes. He apparently stayed an hour and 10 minutes, and he took a photo with every single person that wanted one, signed every single thing people wanted. People brought full posters like they assumed it might happen, and were handing them forward, and he stayed up on stage and signed for an hour and 10 minutes. And I've never, literally in all my years of doing this, I've never seen someone stay longer than their panel.
Right.
And it was 4,000 people. And like as soon as they saw he was staying, most of them just rushed the stage and he patiently like, and to the point where they started saying over the megaphone, put your phone on video, turn it towards Tom so he can pose with you, and then grab a street. Like they were announcing how to get it moving.
Yeah, like we need to move this shit
So clearly
along.
he had said, no, I'm staying. And they had to pivot because the man wasn't leaving the stage. And it was just so kind. And he was so happy to do it. And he stayed glowy.
Really kind to all the fans, really shitty to all the people
the
who
crew.
were working. Who were like, come on, you
we
fucking
were done
asshole.
at 8. It's 9:10.
I'm supposed to be home by now.
My wife's waiting. They're hungry.
Missing my kid's fucking recital.
But it was so like I've never seen, and he said like he's a movie. Like there's not a lot of movie stars to that scale.
Well, I think
and it was so cool to see.
I think it's a testament. It's a shame the movies are bad. It's a testament to how much I think he loves like this specific.
And whether you hate the movies or love them, you can tell he loves.
Because I feel like it feels like one of those passion projects for an actor who's arguably better than the material that they're doing.
Oh, what a joy!
But it's a bummer. It's a bummer they're not good.
He's the perfect.
I know
cast.
you like him. I shouldn't. I'm not speaking for Koicast as a brand.
Thank you.
I'm speaking for Jake Lloyd Bacon as a human. Just they're not good, and I feel like they could be.
Yeah.
But also maybe that's just the problem. All shit's separated.
Yeah.
And you know what? As much as I always loved Venom, I liked Venom in stories with Spider-Man. I liked his solo stuff.
Leave
the Protector's fun and fine, but I still the entire time I'm like, yeah, cool.
Where's Spider-Man?
Yeah, cool. But when do they cross paths?
Yeah. And this one is clearly like a passion project even to the creative team because Kelly Marcel is like a friend of his since he was in his 20s who's been on the projects in various ways. And then she's the co-writer with him and director. So clearly this came from like inside the house. Like
Right.
this. So even more than normal, this feels like a passion project. So it was just really cool to see him like glowing because he's one of those actors that doesn't like to take people's crap. He doesn't like to do press if it's a dumb interview.
Yeah,
he's not gonna play the game.
No, he's just doing what he wants to do versus what he needs to
And
do.
I love that.
Yeah,
like he's
I
not a
respect
movie
that.
star that just shows up and does all the rote stuff. So seeing him stay like that for 4,000 people was like an I left before him. Like I was like 20 minutes I stood there like talking to Sony and making my like connections that I needed to and like catching up with people I only see in New York.
Right.
Like I did all of my schmoozing and he was there another 45 minutes. So it was crazy that I kept looking over just with reverence for the kindness because he never stopped smiling. He never stopped being patient. And I was like, what a fucking guy.
Yeah.
So it was really
That's
cool.
good.
That was like a highlight of my con was like,
Nice.
I didn't even want a photo. I didn't want to be a fan. I wanted to see him later. But it was really fun to watch fans get to have a once in a lifetime moment and see him feel that Ouroboros of joy from the sidelines.
Right.
Like I wasn't in the throngs, but I got to go like, look at life happening.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that was a highlight. I had a good con. My favorite part of the whole trip though was just laying in the leaves. I miss fall like so fucking much. It was so funny. 10 years ago, you tell me I'm in New York. I don't wait to meet Tom Hardy. I go lay in leaves.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the only thing I'm missing right now from New York is like the leaves. But it's like I was saying this time last year when we were just starting to do these remote.
Yeah.
Is like it's so gorgeous, but it happens so quick and it's so fleeting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I miss it.
I want to try to drive somewhere. I want to drive like north. Like I don't know where's closest, but
Yeah, we're Alexandra and I. It's just so tough. This time of year is tough for both work schedules and also the fact that we just moved in and we're still just like every day there's like house shit. Like I have not had a day to just sit and do nothing. Like the amount of painting and shopping and building fucking furniture and you know putting up things around the house that need to get done, replacing mirror, you know, all the DIY shit we're doing around the house I'm so busy. But we're trying to plan a trip to Solvang. I'm not sure if you've ever been there.
Yeah,
but like,
I went for the first time in March.
Oh, that's a good. Well, if you want to go someplace that's fallish, that's quite a nice around this time of year
no
too.
shit.
Well, and also this is their season because it's all like apples and orchards and shit.
Yeah.
So I
It's
don't
a
know.
cool little Swedish town.
There's a small possibility we might try to take a trip up there Friday.
I brought Anya
But
there
we'll
for
see.
her birthday because she wanted to go to Copenhagen. So I brought her the
Last
closest
year.
thing
That's
I could.
funny.
Like
That's
I thought,
funny.
like here's the
That's really
Copenhagen.
good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, the only last bit of news, we wanted to dive into the Blade madness of it all. It would seem Blade, but the line in Deadpool was accurate. There's only gonna ever be one Blade.
No, was that like what? Why?
I feel like it was a 3-pointer that was called in the air
Because
and then it swished.
Here's the thing about it. I remember that moment in Deadpool and Wolverine thinking like, well, that was a dick thing to put in this movie.
And I remember thinking like,
I kind of thought it was, and it was like, is it? I can understand the humor of like the meta humor of the old guy, like speaking as Wesley Snipes.
Right, this is mine.
Breaking the fourth wall of like, there's only one, and I'm the fucking right. But simultaneously, because it's like there was a TV show, so you're just saying like, fuck that guy,
sticky fingers.
which is kind of rude. And it's like even if it wasn't good, it's still like I mean, unless they have a personal beef I'm not aware of.
Yeah,
maybe the
who knows?
actor that was on the TV show was like said some shit about Wesley Snipes at some point.
We don't know.
I don't know, but I remember in that moment thinking that's kind of a shitty thing to put in the movie. Like even if the joke is that it's Wesley saying
Right.
it. But now, yeah, the Blade movie is not happening.
Yeah.
But are we still? Do you think they still cram Blade into another story?
I
another
think down the
movie?
line, Midnight Suns, and I know they're
Because-
trying to develop that
Right.
aggressively.
Well, because isn't what's his face from fucking Game of Thrones who was in Eternals?
yeah,
like,
Kit
he's
Harington's
still,
Black Knight.
and he's still contracted.
Yeah,
like,
and he's
they're-
gonna be in something.
so I'm like, so are we gonna see them?
We'll see him, Black Knight for sure. We might see Blade because they spoke at the end of
Yeah,
Eternals.
the reason
That's
I
the
bring
only
it up
appearance
is
we've
'cause
gotten
the
is
two
that
of them-
Mahershala moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't literally seen Mahershala.
Yeah,
Literally, there's not been a physical shot of Mahershala Ali as Blade.
this is kind of the problem with the
Announcing shit 5 years fucking out.
Also,
or not
it's
done.
this is the problem with the end scene credits teasers,
especially Phase 4.
We need, it's become.
I don't mind teasers if the stuff's done, like it used to
Right,
be. Like
sure,
if you tease me
sure.
a Thor in Cap, oh, the movie's shot.
in a year,
Yeah,
that's released.
If
and
you've
we
shot
know,
the fucking movie
Yes.
and this is a clip from the fucking done movie,
100%.
like that's different than like
100%.
we're gonna bring him out on stage in 2019. Now I get there was a strike and there was a pandemic and like there's more variables than anyone's ever dealt with in the
True.
history of a shared universe because there's never been a shared universe like this. But 5 years is crazy.
It is.
Like,
Well,
and the poor dude like said no to fucking playing Commissioner Gordon for the role. He was going to be Jeffrey Wright's role.
You were very excited about the Blade movie.
Oh, dude, he's one of my favorite characters, and like McCarstle is like such a fucking perfect.
So how do you feel knowing that it's just shelved indefinitely? Also, you're drifting away from your microphone.
I am out of disdain and sadness. I feel that vampire movies are really hard to get right, and every single person's like, it's just do a vampire and shoot it, is a little short-sighted, but they're also not wrong. Like, I'm of both minds where it's like, it's really hard to get a vampire movie right. That's why there's 100 vampire movies a year, and there's only like 3 that stand out.
Is the reason that it's canned is because it was bad?
There's been, I mean, that's what I'm interpreting.
I thought it was just like a weird budget thing because of what you said, because of pandemic and all this other stuff.
3 directors. There's been 5 writers.
I don't think I knew any of that.
Yeah, so like 3 directors have left the project, 5 writers left the project. At one point, Blade was made a secondary character to his daughter. It's been a problem. They've changed villains, they've changed settings, they've changed time periods. It's like clearly they don't know what they want the movie to be.
Yeah, that sounds like a Kevin Feige problem.
That sounds like a too many cooks in the kitchen with power problem to me.
Sure, yeah, that too. But
like it sounds like if Kevin Feige knew what he wanted, it would be done.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point. That's what I mean. But that's what I mean. He doesn't know what he wants,
right?
Therefore, that's the problem.
Or like
he knows what he wants, and
they decide they want to do different stuff. So
the
that's
Edgar Wright of it all,
100%. So it sucks because,
by the way, I don't fall on any side in that story.
Oh, dude,
and I feel like
could have had.
But no, I don't. But again, I don't blame, Marvel or Feige, because it's like they're doing something different. Like,
and that was so early. Like that wouldn't have been as connected, and I respect that.
Yeah, I'm curious about. God, this is one of those things where it's like, if it was a bigger property, we might get a fun movie about what went wrong in 2 years. You know what I mean?
But it's just niche enough.
Yeah,
I think we might get a Logan-esque Blade like Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes have been advocating for. I think we might get a Blade 4.
With old Wesley.
Yeah, like a Blade 4 we might get before we get even a Midnight Suns.
I don't want that.
I mean, I love those Blade movies, so I'm happy. Yeah, I made sounds not found in nature when he showed up on screen. Yeah, I was like a fucking.
All right. I mean, I'm bummed for all of those people who, you know what? I'm like, you know who I think of at this moment? I think of like
the crew.
Well, not even just the crew, because the crew, most of them, they're union working, and they're fucking like it sucks that they're not getting more money, but they clearly made a bunch. They made the movie a bunch, right? They've been working.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the actor who like this was their big break, because they got like a fucking like a
Mia Goth
a
was
tiny
cast as a villain twice.
Yeah, like a small little part that's like. Or a larger part, but I don't know.
Yeah, imagine getting a Marvel movie that never existed. Imagine booking Marvel.
This feels like the Burton Superman.
Yeah,
that Schnepp made the movie about. But I don't think we're gonna get Schnepp's movie version of this story.
It's also like Mahershala's put his career on hold in so many ways for so many years.
Yeah, fuck, that's
half a decade, dude. Like, he got an Oscar for that shitty movie that shouldn't have won the Oscar, and he hasn't done much since.
What movie did he get an Oscar for? That shouldn't get an Oscar.
The book, the Green Book.
Oh.
But like that was like 2018, and then like he's doing Jurassic World next year. In between that, he's been not making Blade.
Been Blade. he's been working on his cosplay.
Yeah, exactly. Effectively,
debuted yet.
Exactly. He's the day walker stuck at night.
Shit,
so sucks. And he's so talented. So those are my thoughts on it. I just feel for the guy.
Yeah, that's a bummer, and it's for sure just done. That's it.
It's off the release calendar.
So I feel
5 years. That doesn't feel like it got
I feel like they're going to take footage, or they're going to take something. They're going to cram it elsewhere. They're going to try to rework something.
Yeah.
I feel like he's still... I mean, here's the thing. He's probably still got a fucking ton of money out of this whole ordeal.
I hope so. Because he's been developing it forever.
Contract. Yeah,
it's
a contract.
And it's multiple contracts. Renegotiated.
Yeah, and so like the dude's probably made bank. It sucks that he's made bank, not getting himself out there.
Because he actually likes
working,
the acting.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
He's one of those actors that it's not like he's doing it
bummer,
for the money. Like he's clearly not that guy.
Right.
And like he came to my acting studio twice, and he's one of those actors that loves the challenge of a scene partner. So him even specifically, he likes the set part. So for me that knows more than the average person about his personality, it's been especially hard for me to know that like the dude just wants to be on set having that tennis match, and him specifically sitting at home. He's so talented.
He's pretty much just gotten paid to keep in shape.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's his job.
I mean, good for him. But man,
do we have an Oscar? Do we have an award for most rip junkie?
Yeah, Gaines.
Yeah, that's a fucking bummer. But I still think that we're gonna see him.
I still think
they're gonna cram. Yeah, they're still gonna cram him in with something else. It is a bummer that they
Blade
don't.
is so deserving.
They
It's a
don't.
bummer because the
Yeah,
characters.
and it's also a bummer that they have all this. Like we had Werewolf by Night 2 years
Yeah.
ago. We have things that
Agatha now.
exist in this realm now.
Yeah.
That's like it wouldn't be hard to just kind of.
It's not a big leap like it would have been in Phase 1.
It is. It's crazy. Is the problem that they tried to make sure that it was interconnected? Is the problem that it doesn't fit into the multiverse story?
That's what I'm assuming.
And this is currently the quote multiverse saga,
Right.
So they probably had a decent Blade movie, and then they were probably like, yeah, but how does it tie into fucking Eternals?
Because people wanted to blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah, how does it tie into Shang-Chi?
Which I hate because people are always like, it has to tie in, but if it doesn't move the MCU narrative, I'm like, just watch the fucking movie. Enjoy 2 hours. Like, just have those 2 hours for you.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, Blade?
We got a hotline call.
We do have a hotline call.
Let's hear from the people.
Let's take. How do people call the hotline, Coy?
They call 818-794. You know what? I have doubts.
Oh, I heard you.
I was so
lose
confident.
confidence.
Yeah, because
in
I
real
was so
time?
sure last week, and then this week.
Next time you come, I'll have our new guide monitor.
Oh,
going.
that's exciting.
Yeah, and we'll have the old screen back up with all the bullet points.
Oh, that's so helpful.
And you'll never have to think ever again.
All I ask is you to just write my script for me, because you know me, I want to just show up. Okay. Oh, I was right. God damn it. I should have doubted myself.
You did. It sounded right to me.
It was 818-794-0722. That's 818-794-0722. What threw me was the 2s after the 7 in the next part. I was like, is it 792? But it's, yeah. So 794-0722. Call us up.
Or send a
Voice
email.
memo.
Or, a voice memo, voice recording, however you want, to contact@koicast.com, and we'll play them right here on the show.
Yes.
Just like this.
Hey, Coy. Hey, producer Jake. This is Masked Llama of the Legendary Fighting Federation. I was just calling. You all haven't talked about what are your thoughts on, like, meta humor in the comic book, or the comic book characters that know they're in a comic book, or things that creatively deal with comic book knowledge. I remember there once was an issue of Squirrel Girl that was a choose-your-own-adventure issue. Very interestingly done. And I just read an old issue of Flash where he and Dr. Fate had to travel through the two-dimensional world in order to get to where they needed to go. And they actually had the reader interact with the book since they knew they were in the two-dimensional world. I remember like those old issues of Animal Man, where he knew he was in a comic book, and I think, is it Plastic Man who does? I don't remember. But yeah, Deadpool, I guess, is a given. I was just curious if your thoughts on if you had any good issues like that you enjoyed, or your thoughts on it as a whole. Anyway, I hope you all had a good time at Comic-Con, and I don't think Jake went to Comic-Con. Jake, I hope you're having a good day, man. Take care, y'all. Bye.
Masked Llama from the Legendary Fighting Federation. By the
Always
way,
so positive.
Masked Llama, before we get into your query here, the Google Translate of your
So
voicemail, I opened up the Google Translate and it says, "Hey, Cole, I hate producer Jake. This is Masked Llama of the Legendary Fighting Federation." And I was like, yo, what the heck, bro?
Hey, Cole, I hate producer Jake.
Yeah, not cool, bro.
Just, Google Translate's got
Not cool.
got bars. It's coming at you.
Meta humor. Oh boy.
Meta humor.
How you doing?
Yeah, New
meta
York
humor.
Comic-Con.
Meta humor in comic books, bro. Let's talk about
He's
meta
not even
humor.
watching Penguin. Why's he got the accent?
So anyway, I was talking to this girl the other day.
So this girl, right?
It turns out she's got a daughter.
She's got some meta humor.
Meta humor in comic books. I think that it can become tiresome.
Agreed.
When not handled correctly, which is why it's astounding the Deadpool movies are still even remotely good.
Yeah.
Because it can get old very, very quickly in a comic book because you're reading it at your own pace.
Mm.
And I feel like that could play into it negatively. I've always loved the way She-Hulk does it.
Yep.
I've always loved, Deadpool. There are definitely Deadpool comics that I've read that I have been like, okay, not too much.
Yeah, and I think the current run you're not reading, but it's doing way too much, and it's also like Gen Z humor. And,
what's the name of the current run?
Just Deadpool. It's
Okay,
just the
correct, where they
relaunch that
are.
was 2
Gotcha.
years ago.
Got it.
And I like the writer that's writing it overall, but he is Gen Z, and he's writing Deadpool as if he speaks like Gen Z, and it's like trying to be old man uses modern slang, but it doesn't fit the tone of Deadpool. It feels like very contrived.
Somebody who's older than us might argue that our Spider-Man was the same way.
And I would almost guarantee it.
Who's this young? Peter Parker doesn't speak like this.
Yeah, but like the problem is he's saying like no cap, and then Taskmaster's like, did you just say no cap? And I'm like, the joke is either that like you're drawing attention to it every time it happens, then it's just like really stale.
Right. Sure,
like Deadpool shouldn't feel like
it's
he's
the
trying
same
to be funny.
joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Deadpool should be using humor as a defense mechanism, not trying to be funny.
Right. Sure.
But sorry, I interrupted you. But the fourth wall breaking, I think is the easiest thing to do wrong.
Right. Yeah. Sure. 100%.
I think Gwenpool is a perfect example of that character only pops up every couple of years, and every time I'm like, yes.
Right.
But I think if she had an ongoing, I would be very sick of it.
Right.
Because her superpower is that she's from our universe, and her power is knowing everyone's secret identity because she's read the comics.
Right.
That's so funny to me. But there's only so many stories you can tell without that being like, we get it. Right. Whereas like Animal Man, what Grant Morrison did was genius.
That's kind of next level.
But you don't see Animal Man a lot.
Sure. And I was going to say that to me, that feels like a different brand of it.
100%.
Like there, I
like
think
a fifth
that
wall. It's like an
Animal Man is like the Animal Man is like the fucking American Splendor, the movie of this, where it's like, it's not just like a humorous thing that he's aware. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a much more philosophical, there's a lot much more, like it's a little bit more elevated in my opinion than the like She-Hulk. What I can't even.
Well, and like Alan Moore using it as like an omnipotence is next level. Like when the readers are part of the story, I love. But Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, like there's a reason those are like the guys.
Yeah, and well, then there's also the like. It was cool, I'm sure, when I was a certain age, but I'm sure now if I were to reread it, I would be like, oh, this isn't really that good. But like at the final end of oh my God, what's the fucking name of the goddamn comic where they drew him as Eminem and Halle Berry? Wanted. Thank you. God, like how Wanted ends. Which, by the way, spoiler if you've never read Wanted, it ends with the main character breaking the fourth wall and talking to you as a reader, asking you pretty much what you wanted out of this experience.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I was like, this is deep. I don't know. I haven't read it in a long time. I bet you it's not as deep as I remember. But
it felt right for the story, which is what matters.
But it feels really effective.
Right. And
because
it's planned.
Because it's the exception, not the rule.
Right. And it feels like Mark Miller was going to do that from the jump.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas sometimes you read fourth wall breaking stuff, and it's like we ran out of ideas.
Yeah. I always felt like Mark Miller, for as problematic as he's become now, I do feel like there's a part of that where he's like trying to tap into like the Stanley Kubrick Clockwork Orangey kind of like, what does this say about
when
you?
He does it.
Oh, 100%. Sure.
I like Mark Miller's writing. I don't.
Oh no.
I try not to know too much about
literally
him.
some of my favorite.
He's got a new book out right now that's fucking dope, dude.
It's just astounding that he has some of the views he has.
Yeah, 100%. Because it doesn't line with his characters.
Not all
he's
of them.
Writing.
Some of them. Because sometimes you can see that sort of like nihilisty kind
100%.
of like, you know, real white guy angst.
Yeah, that's like peeking under the surface. And you're like, oh, you got some thoughts.
A little bit of Snyderism there.
But he's got like there's two books. He's got a Nemesis book, which is a character that like really doesn't work all the time, but when it does, I love. Like if Batman was a bad guy, is Nemesis.
Sure.
In the white suit.
Yes,
and everything.
yeah.
He's got a new Nemesis book out right now about him training a sidekick that's fucking insane.
That's fun.
And then he's got a book about Prodigy of Mars, where it's this guy, this absolute genius rocket scientist had two kids that were always trying to get his attention. Now the two kids uncover a plot that their dad was in and are trying to save the world, and they're like two of the smartest men on the planet.
Right.
So like a Reed Richards Dr. Doom team up book, and it's like these two original IP characters written by Mark Miller, who writes sarcastically smart so well. So I'm in love with the current Mark Miller stuff, but I can't see what he's tweeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I want to enjoy,
you mean Xing.
Yeah. I don't want to see how he's Xing. But this is a great question because it is a fine line, and I feel like the medium of comic books breaks the fourth wall and has meta humor more than most mediums by the nature of it.
I mean, even just starting with like the covers of books that whose characters are not fourth wall breaking, that speak directly to you to buy the book. Like that was such a big Stan Lee thing.
Oh, I loved it.
Even when it was like the Stan Lee in the corner of just like, hey readers, like there's like, it's such a big,
it's the Mighty Marvel manner.
Yeah, it's such a big part of I think comics culture.
Yeah.
In a way that's kind of unique. You want to know what I think is, I know that the She-Hulk TV show is not controversial, but it's a divisive as far as people like it.
Yeah.
I love the ending of that show because it was perfect for
that medium.
for a Marvel TV show. The fact that she interacts with Disney Plus.
Love it.
Like, or, like there was some really beautiful things. With that said, I don't like it when a comic book relies on breaking the fourth wall just to solve the main character's third act problem.
If it's a Deus Ex Machina,
yes,
it is a problem.
Right. And I feel like that is when it becomes like, oh, you had me read this whole thing and
just for you to solve the problem
and
with your problem?
Just like
you didn't have a solution to your problem?
It was kind of an easy way out.
Yeah.
It feels like a cheat.
Which Wanted did not do. That's the example.
No, not at all.
But that's what I'm saying.
Wanted, the resolution already happens and then they turn it on.
But some writers say like, well, I thought of that from the beginning. I'm saying
Yeah.
Wanted is the example of knowing it from the beginning and
Yes.
not being a cop-out. But yeah, I love this
100%.
question because it is something I enjoy but can go wrong easily.
Did you ever read the Squirrel Girl?
I did.
That he's referencing?
Yeah, I
did.
liked it. Squirrel Girl's one of those characters that only works for me in small doses, kind of like Gwenpool. Kind of like when writers I don't like are writing Deadpool. Like, it's that type of character that when handled poorly. But I do like the Squirrel Girl run you referenced. I think that's one of her strongest, and it's also a short run, which I think helps
Right.
it. It's very, she's so saccharine sweet that it's very like this dose.
Also, Plastic Man, he mentioned.
Love Plastic Man.
I feel like that's so strange because I have an affection for the character of Plastic Man, and while I haven't seen him a lot in things. When I read him, I always get excited that he's there.
Yeah.
But yet I don't
Have a certain.
No, I don't associate him with breaking the fourth wall though.
It's more like his humor is so self-aware. It's not quite it's like a 3.5 wall break. Like they can go that far, but he's very aware as a character. But yeah, Mass Llama, great examples. Always good to hear from you, man. And yeah, that is a fine line. The ink around a frame in a comic book is a fine line, as is breaking it.
Yeah. It's a good medium for it too. I think it's a better medium for it than like, than a novelization or movies and TVs. Because I feel like movies, TVs, it's kind of just become, also in television, the extreme popularity of the mockumentary that
kind of
Office led with is kind of insane to me.
Yeah.
By the way, totally unrelated, but Stephen Merchant, he just popped up on something and they were asking him about the importance of The Office in pop culture. And he was talking about how he did, by the way, if you don't know Stephen Merchant, creator of The Office alongside Ricky Gervais, the original British Office, he did a guest spot on Modern Family.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess whoever was directing that episode didn't really know who he was and was explaining to him like what makes our show really unique.
Oh my God, I love that.
Is that our characters talk right to the camera, and it's kind of like it's kind of like this documentary clue there the entire time. And then we were just explaining to Stephen
and he's
Merchant,
just listening and laughing internally.
and he's just going, "Oh, that's interesting."
I love that he let him.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh
That's
yeah, no, that
beautiful.
sounds like a good idea.
Oh, I adore that. It's also, I mean, speaking of overdoing it, I really enjoy that Donald Glover, I feel like, walks the line of it in Because of the Internet, some of his albums, and doing it in music is like nigh impossible. But like when it lands, it's really cool.
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of music is fourth wall breaking if it's hip hop.
Sure, but like
a lot of it is speaking to the listeners as the person, not as the artist, not as.
But that's not quite
character.
fourth wall to me because it's blending the character and you as the audience. That's what makes it a fourth wall. Because if they're just talking to you, that's only you know what I mean. That's like a play. That's I guess
I'm thinking more of like, you take like a Pearl Jam song where Eddie's just either singing as a character from a story or telling a story is a little bit different than a lot of hip hop,
which is like Wu-Tang is talking about the stuff they've gone through.
It starts with them just telling you their name,
right? Blah blah blah. And this is what. But I think that would be like a regular monologue versus like Donald Glover tells a story from 3 different perspectives. One of them knows you're watching or listening in that case. Which I think is really cool and very comic-y. Like you can hear Donald's comic experience in his lyrics. And you can also with RZA, Wu-Tang's a great example too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really cool thing when it translates into other mediums in the comic book style.
Right.
Like the Mighty Marvel Manor translating to hip hop is cool.
That's fair. Should we start breaking the fourth wall on our show?
I think Mass Llama just got us to we're acknowledging him in person.
What even is the fourth wall of a podcast?
I don't even know.
It's all, I mean, like,
we're talking directly to Mass Llama. Is this done? Have we done it?
Like, because I mean, we're not entirely not characters,
right?
Does that make sense? There's a lot of negatives.
Yeah, that's like, is that a triple negative? So it's a positive.
So many negatives.
We're not entirely not.
Like we're definitely more aware that the words we're saying are being recorded.
Yeah, I don't want to.
And we are speaking to people who we know are listening,
right,
while simultaneously speaking to each other. So there is a level.
Story.
There is a level of performance,
sure,
in just you and I recording our conversations, but not nearly a level of performance than like you doing even like a YouTube show, where you're definitely a character of Koi Jandro,
right?
Telling people.
I say cunts a lot more in real life, so that has to be tempered.
So like, is a fourth wall, you want to know what breaking the fourth wall would be here? It would be us sitting in silence for extended periods of time,
knowing people were listening, and that being a choice.
It would be the like, the
That's
things
funny.
that occur in regular conversation,
the pauses that couldn't occur,
where we're just like, all right, well, we both have said what we have to say about that situation,
and we wait,
and
then
we just sit, we just figure out.
Takes off.
You look around your house, you go, what else?
Yeah,
what
like
else?
In human life, when you have a
where it's like, went to the DMV the other day, and you try to like come up with, is this a thing?
That's a very specific fourth wall, but also incorporating people's names in that tangent, because then we're acknowledging them while doing stuff that's acknowledging that it isn't normal.
Right. Say that. I couldn't follow that.
So it would be during those pauses
coffee.
and segments, but we'd also have to acknowledge the audience. So calling people out by name while also doing stuff that is bringing awareness that we're breaking the wall. Like, because the listener has to be involved. So we're tangenting your DMV tangent, but incorporating people's names. Like talking about Robin West Parker while also incorporating.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because you'd have to include the viewer,
the listener.
So like exactly.
Right.
Like Michael McCarstle is also in this story. Like bringing in Maslama as a part of the journey of like. And I was thinking about Maslama when I had to go to the DMV, because then they're listening, being addressed.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh wait, hang on a second. All right, I got a fourth wall break for you.
All right.
Does
it involve Duger?
No. Well, I mean, kind of. No, it does.
Oh, does it?
Well, in a way.
Okay.
Tell the people about our Patreon.
Okay.
And what it is, and why they should join it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to break the fourth wall a little bit.
Okay. So we have a Patreon, which is the 100% funding of this very podcast, the one you're hearing right now. You, dear listener. We don't have any ads yet. Maybe one day we will, but for now, it is just the patrons, and you can join for any denomination. But if you want to become a gift horse, it is only slightly more. And with that gift horse, you get a free bit of swag from the shop, as well as picking a bit of art for us to review on your behalf. And we call that the Unpunchable Gift Horse of the Month, because I, for most of my life, thought that the expression was you don't punch a gift horse in the mouth, which I still maintain makes more sense. And so you get to be the Unpunchable Gift Horse of the Month. And I believe the great Duger 13 was last month's Unpunchable Gift Horse.
No, he's current.
He's current.
Yeah, it's October still.
Oh, it is still October. I thought this aired the first week of November. You're right.
Marco was in September. I'm gonna break here we go. This is one more. Here, I'm breaking walls.
Ready. Break them down.
Do you, Koi?
Yes.
I know. Listener, hey, I'm talking to you. I know he doesn't. So I don't know. This is a setup. I'm setting him up.
Thanks.
Do you know the tiers, the names of all the tiers on our Patreon without looking at your phone and not looking at it?
There's Grassroots.
Nope, that's not one of them.
The John Bon Jovis.
Nope, that's not one of them.
The gift horses.
Okay, so you have one out of four.
There's the one above all tier. Owatu, he's watching.
Oh my god, we should add a one above all and make it like, hey, throw us like.
There's only 3 of them. Like it's a limited amount.
Throw us like a one-time donation of like $500.
Yeah.
Okay,
we could use it.
All right, so the levels of our patron, which he clearly doesn't know, because by the way, he is so hands off. I handle all this shit, you guys.
That's
the
true.
burden on my shoulders for this
sheer
program.
weight. He is the cast.
At the top tier, you can become a Koi Cast Zealot.
Oh,
that gets you 2 entries into the monthly contest. You can then also become a gift horse, which gets you entries into the contest, as well as all the bonus people. You can become a maestro.
Oh, I love that. Maestro, if you're nasty.
Which gets you access to all of the Patreon stuff. Or you can become a name drop, because Koi name drops so much.
He's gotten better. If you listen to the first year of this podcast versus now, you'll see that name drop tier has changed.
And the name drop tier, that just gives you appreciation. If you just want to throw us $5 a month,
just kindness,
and add some kindness, and your name goes in the episode description of every episode, as well as it's on the podcast.
We drop
and guess
your
what?
name.
For the first time, we're gonna break the fourth wall.
Oh.
We're gonna drop some names right now.
I love it.
Thanks
this is how this
thanks
is
to our current patrons: Angel Marquez, April Surrell, Ash Singh, Ben Detrixhe, Cole Gaither, Craig Brimanson, Craig Davey, Curtis Mason, Darth Vadad, Doug Chiarello, Duger 13, Echo in the Mirror, Edie F., Edward Collins, Gilbert Short, Harold Stokes, Jackie Mason, Kaylyn Kimpel, Ken Lutz, Marco Tunstill, Mark Cole, Matt Timpone, Michael McCarstle, Poppy the Mask, Keaton, Mass Llama, why'd you change your name? What's wrong with you? I'm calling you Mass Llama. I'm deleting that shit. Robin West Parker, Ron Jones, Spencer Walker, Stephen W., and Zachary Patsy, all of our current patrons.
I love how many of those names I know.
Thank you so much for your continued support of the program. We did an actual proper name drop on air.
Fourth wall broken.
And I don't know how much more that we can do of that.
I'm very proud of that. It's the first time in all the Patreon we've gone through all of them. Thank you guys all very much. I love how many names I knew because I've interacted with the folks, and that makes me happy.
By the way, today is episode 187
on a motherfucking cop.
Of the Koicast, so I feel like it's officially it's fucking gangster rap.
Yeah,
episode.
I mean it has come up more than once.
Should I add in some like gunshot sound effects?
Pop, pop, pop. Have you followed the Kendrick beef?
No, not since all that stuff. I went and I like did the research.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie, some of it I almost would have preferred just to be reading the lyrics than listening to the songs because it's some of that stuff I'm like I don't like this kind of. It's not my kind of rap. As far as like
interesting. The actual sound,
the brand of rap. I'm more interested in what he's saying than how he's saying it,
than how it's coming to me. That's funny.
Where I almost would have rather just like an open letter from Kendrick Lamar.
That's so funny. I only bring it up because I think he's dropping an album tomorrow because it's Drake's birthday.
Oh shit! Wait, really? Oh, you know whose birthday is today?
Whose birthday is today?
Deadpool himself.
Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds' birthday.
Oh, it is Ryan Reynolds' birthday.
I saw that on the internet.
What a fourth wall break. Ryan Reynolds, happy birthday. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we know you listen.
Yeah, obviously Ryan's here. That's going to do it, I think, for this episode. Pure chaos. We got some gangster rap. We got some fourth wall breaks. We got some patron love. If you want to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com. Check out koicast.com as well because we got lots of merch.
Specifically, it's patreon.com/koicast.
I should clear that up.
Yeah,
patreon.com/koicast. Also, as a link on koicast.com. You can check out either of those. On both, there are shirts, there are mugs, there are sweatshirts, there's all sorts of swag, and it's beautiful. Jake doesn't get enough credit from me as one of the best graphic designers I work with, especially considering I'm on the internet a lot. So, like, I literally have to work with people that make visuals out of what we do, and Jake is far and away one of my favorite people's graphics. They're really dope. So check all of that over on the various websites. Also 818-794-0722 to call in and be part of the show. You guys lead the conversation. We are maybe going to go back to like filming a gaggle at once. So more hotline stuff means we can kind of like make that a thing because I'm really enjoying the conversation versus just doing news. Incorporating the news is a thing, but I do like that we're not just a news show because it feels more like a podcast now. Now that I know what a podcast is, took 3 years. Yeah, we're getting there, folks.
Also, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Before our next recording.
Yeah.
Right. So Halloween is happening. So let's. I just want to say happy Halloween to everybody. If you're dressing up for Halloween,
put in the Discord,
and you're doing something comic book related or like genre related, like if it fits in on a con floor, send us a photo of your Halloween costume,
suited up, cosplayed up,
and maybe we have a little costume contest.
Oh, I like that. All right.
Maybe we have a little Koicast costume contest.
That's
people
fun.
are like, fuck, you telling me this is now? I have a week.
8 days away? Well,
and also, it can't be like an old photo.
No.
We need to figure out a way. How do we do that? Yeah. We have to have them holding today's newspaper.
Is that like they're in a ransom of their own? Also, where are they going to find a newspaper? It's 2024.
I don't know how, but figure out a way to prove to me that it's your.
That's such a funny extra of fucking.
Tag Koicast in your. Okay, if you're posting something on Instagram.
Yeah.
All right. Then like all your friends will know you're bullshitting.
Hold up a recent Blu-ray or something. Right? Like something that's like from the last year.
You need to go.
Something that
you
is
need to leave the house, find a bus ad for Venom 3. Okay? Take a photo in front of
that. A good idea.
A photo in front of the bus
That'll
ad.
help. Yeah, okay. If you live in rural areas, hold a Blu-ray from the last 12 months because it couldn't have been last Halloween. If a movie's come out. Either way. Let's have some.
I want all of your genre Halloween costumes.
That's such a funny idea.
I'm so upset that we don't really get a ton of Halloweens because Alexandra and I have had we have had our Halloween costume. We have a bunch of different ideas, but there's one specifically that I already have most of it made.
Yeah.
And we've never been able to do it.
Oh.
And there's so every new show, a new thing comes out. Alexandra and I. Here's the thing: it's a problem. I'm aware it's a problem. And listen, I'm an ally. Okay, to all people of color in all forms of art. With that said, there is no shortage of brunette dudes and white blonde women costume ideas between those two. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. There's an abundance of those two people in media.
There's not a lot of redheads left.
And well, you're all black now.
That's true.
We've turned all
the
redhead characters.
And I cannot dress like them anymore.
It's so funny to me that is. I didn't even realize I was thinking until I saw some video where somebody.
Well, it's usually the alt-right that's going
made a whole list.
But it is.
No, it's a video of like two like black guys talking about how they have taken all of the redheaded characters.
It's insane. And I can't dress like those characters anymore because that'd be
very funny.
Like red blackface.
Anyways, yeah, we're bummed that we're not really. It's because of work. Alexandra has Halloween just a rough day for her, but send us
to live through you.
You're not doing anything for Halloween. You're not
I'm tired.
Up.
I don't know.
You're gonna like I said, Jolo.
Yeah, Jolo. I got sent a really funny like tracksuit that's KFC. Like it's literally like an entire. It's got a fanny pack and it's like head to toe.
Is it just
KFC.
branded?
It's literally, but it's so funny. Like
but it doesn't look like. It's not the Colonel.
The Colonel, but it is literally like the Dunkin' Donuts ad, but KFC, and it's wicked funny. So I might wear that just like at a party if I go out.
Sure.
But I then I put it on. And I thought it was hilarious. And it's got a fanny pack. It's got accessories. It's got little tokens of nuggets I can give out. Like
when people ask you what you are, you can say you are too chicken to commit to a character.
That's good. I was gonna actually put on a beard and be Mel Gibson as the Colonel because that was my favorite Mel. But then again, not problematic.
Would not dress up as Mel Gibson.
You know, people love him. People love him. It's gone well when I interviewed him. It went so well. But yeah, I don't know if that's not committing to a costume enough. But I like the chicken line, making it something. But yeah, I love Halloween. I'm just so tired.
I know. I want to dress up as something fun one day soon. Alexandra and I need to have like
December.
We need to have like a halfway to Halloween party.
Oh, that's fun.
Where we get and we'll host just like
April
like
31st,
like the Brits do. We'll call it a fancy dress party because that's what they call it, right? Fancy dress. And we'll just like have, and it's like come in a costume and we'll just hang out and be silly and take pictures.
If we
because then we'll actually do it and we'll put some time into like actually making a costume.
You got a great space for it now.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
If we ever do a Koicast panel, maybe we'll do it in fancy dress. All right, that's gonna do it, you lovelies. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Patrons, we're back this week.
A lot of spooky stuff to talk about on the Patreon only pod.
Check it out. We love you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you as always to Comic Books for existing.
Happy Halloween!
See you soon. Happy Halloween!
Hey, thanks for listening to Dragon Wagon Radio. If you're enjoying this show, check out DragonWagonShop.com and get yourself some sweet merch while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. That's DragonWagonShop.com.
It's Dragon Wagon.